Good morning, all you people down there on the third floor. Is it possible for you to pay the building maintenance fee early this month?
What maintenance fee? This is the first I've heard of a fee like that.
Don't claim ignorance. Come on. You agreed to the rules when you moved into this building.
We agreed to rules, yes. I've got the contract in front of me. But it doesn't mention a building maintenance fee.
It's an unwritten rule we, the residents on the top floors, decided on. We believe the fee is necessary to maintain the good reputation of our building in this neighborhood. Everyone on the bottom 3 floors is required to pay every month. You should set up an automatic payment to make it more convenient.
That's surprising.
All of you living at the bottom may not have been aware, but it's common practice in high-rise condominiums.
I've never heard of such a thing. I have friends living in similar places up and down the East Coast.
They do. You simply lack experience living in such a place. This might explain your unfamiliarity with this system.
That may be true, but I can assure you that other places don't have such a system. It seems like extortion. You can't just decide to collect money from people. The building administrator hasn't mentioned anything. How long has this been going on?
I moved into the building last month, so this is the first time.
And you convinced everyone else? It's hard to believe that they all agreed. Some of the people living here moved in when the building was first built. What about those who are renting? You're effectively increasing their rent.
Yes, everyone else has agreed. They can see the need for building maintenance, and they've already paid.
I find that hard to believe. Are you saying that even Mr. Wilson in 205 agreed? He loves to argue about everything.
Mr. Wilson not only agreed, but he offered to help with the collection this month. In fact, you are the only one who is objecting to it.
They probably think it's for something else. Maybe they believe it's a one-time payment. Convincing them to make it a regular monthly payment won't be easy.
If you refuse to pay, you may have to leave the building.
On what grounds can you evict me? You moved in just last month, right?
What grounds? I certainly have more rights than those living on the third floor. And you'll have to refrain from using the elevator.
Now you're banning elevator use? Who do you think you are? You can't simply dictate rules. Go on, explain why I can't use the elevator. I'm curious to hear.
Let me make this clear to avoid any misunderstandings. Residents on the upper floors are generally wealthier, having paid more for their condos or paying higher rent. They also tend to be busier and have more significant roles, such as running companies or performing surgeries. They aren't engaged in menial tasks like those on the lower floors. People on the upper floors are saving lives and making decisions that impact the country's future. So, we need to have priority access to the elevator without interruptions from those on the lower floors.
That doesn't make sense. It sounds like you're trying to assert authority over everyone. Who gave you that power?
Oh, to someone barely making ends meet like you. The lives of those on the top floors must seem like objects of jealousy. I wish I could do something, but my hands are tied.
You have some grand delusions. This is a serious issue. You need professional help. Regardless, I'll continue using the elevator.
Your place is only 3 floors up. You're using the elevator for just 3 floors and inconveniencing others who need it? Typical people always wanting something for nothing, always with their hands out. Perhaps some exercise would be good for you.
No, in fact. If you must know, I'm pregnant. I'll be using the elevator for the safety of my baby. How would you feel if I slipped on the stairs and lost the baby? It would be your fault.
So, you lie around all day complaining about how life is unfair. And as soon as you get pregnant, you become high and mighty? Should we roll out the red carpet from the parking lot to your front door?
You don't know anything about me. How can you make such sweeping assumptions?
I've seen you walking from the entrance to your car. That's all I need to know. And your husband doesn't look any better. Really low class. But you two probably match each other. A couple living on the lower floors. You've made quite a leap up in status, moving into such an expensive building. It must have been a stretch for you even at your level, right? You're adorable.
Well, if you've seen me, you should have noticed that I'm pregnant, right?
Pregnant or not, residents on the lower floors are not permitted to use the elevator. It's both courteous and common sense. Only those of us on the upper floors have that privilege.
You're a nasty person. I won't forget this.
Oh, the little dog is barking at me.
Hey Pamela, it's true. I asked a few of the other residents. And that awful woman has been collecting fees from people. Some complied, while others outright refused. So she was being dishonest when she told you that you were the only one questioning it.
I knew it. But why did the others simply pay up? In any case, she's demanding money that we've never had to pay in the past.
She informed everyone about a meeting with the owner.
Well, you're the owner. So it was your idea to have everyone on the third floor and below pay an additional fee, was it?
Come on. Do you think I'd go and do something like that? I'm just as upset about this as you. She's fabricated the whole thing. I spoke with some members of the residence committee, and they were furious.
So, what's your plan now?
I'm going to evict her. I'll need to identify those who paid and reimburse them. Dealing with over 200 families in this building will be a headache. I wonder if she provided them with receipts.
That will serve as a wake-up call for her. By the way, do you think she's pulled this stunt at other places before? I might do some investigating.
It's possible. She probably doesn't realize it yet, but she's made a lot of enemies. I'll also attempt to talk to her husband. Apparently, he's on the board of a major energy company, so hopefully, he can approach this objectively. I hope he's not the one encouraging her.
Be cautious. He might be worse than her. Some of those executive types can be quite ruthless.
I briefly met them both the other day. They seemed very pleasant. Very polite. She probably just puts on an act in front of her husband.
That doesn't sound like her. She's harsh in her texts to people. At least to me. I'll send you screenshots of the texts now. She shows no sympathy for my situation.
I'm willing to bet she hasn't informed her husband about the maintenance fees she's collecting. It's strange. You'd think that with his job, she wouldn't need to demand money from people. Maybe she just enjoys exerting power over others? A bit of a megalomaniac.
Perhaps he doesn't give her access to any money? Hey, maybe she's a gambling addict and needs the extra cash to pay off mob debts. Haha.
Anything is possible, but I'll have a conversation with him. Imagination can run wild if you let it. It's best to get the full story from the source. Oh, I just read that exchange with her that you sent. She really has it out for you. She sounds like an overly dramatic character from one of those Real Housewives reality shows.
Yeah, but those characters actually exist in real life too. I hope you can set her straight. I've only been back in the country for a couple of months. And this is the welcome I get from my fellow Americans. Talk about reverse culture shock. I hope things go well with her husband.
Leave it to me. I feel bad. I didn't really think too much about the implications of living on the third floor. I thought we'd be high enough to avoid the prying eyes of people at street level, but not too high up that we couldn't quickly get down the stairs if needed. We could have taken an apartment on the 30th floor, but I thought the convenience of the third floor would outweigh the view. With the baby on the way. I didn't want you waiting for an elevator in the lobby for an eternity. And when the kid is older, they can walk up the stairs to our place after school. Then suddenly, we become victims of this strange discrimination. What would you call it? Heightism? Anyway, I'm sorry you got caught up in this. I'll sort it out, I promise.
It's so absurd. I don't need the extra stress. Especially with the baby keeping me awake most nights with their kicking. Why does it matter which floor we live on, anyway? She's probably just a bored housewife with an elitist complex. I wonder if she's ever done a day of work in her life. This just shows that she lacks empathy. She probably doesn't have any friends.
Yeah, I agree.
Hey, Pamela. What's the meaning of that notice on my door? It says my condo is up for rent. We live there. Explain yourself.
What? Why are you asking me?
Don't pretend to be innocent. I know it was you. You were loitering around my floor, no doubt. And the lock has been changed. What is going on?
Oh dear. It would seem that you are no longer welcome in this building.
Who gave you the right to decide such a thing? If you don't fix this immediately, I'm calling the police.
Really? Well, if you think you'll get anywhere, go ahead.
You really think you won't? Don't test me. I'll have you know my husband is on the board of one of the biggest corporations in this city. He's next in line to be the president. Do you really want to make enemies out of him and his wife? You don't know what you're getting yourself into.
No, Michael Monroe? Of Black River Industries? Of course, I know who he is. I read an article about him in a business magazine.
Yes. And you dare to pick a fight with someone like him? You've got a lot of nerve. We will bury you in legal fees and court appearances. You know what? I've had enough of you and your little games. I'm calling my husband right now. Your days are numbered.
Go right ahead. Although.
Yes? What is it? Spit it out. Your last words.
Well, I think it's only fair to warn you that it was your husband who made the decision to kick you out of the building. Not me.
What on earth are you talking about?
Yeah. I told him you were illegally demanding money from people on the lower floors. As some kind of maintenance just for poor people. That's what you said it was, right? He was absolutely mad with rage. Oh, so you obviously haven't seen him today, have you? I'd steer clear of him for a while. He's furious.
How dare you spout such garbage at me? You may be a lazy good-for-nothing bottom dweller, but your imagination is certainly working at full speed. What a load of nonsense.
Nonsense?
I have not been demanding money illegally. I was merely acting on the instructions of the owner.
The owner? Really?
Yes. He told me he was thinking of making some improvements in order to increase the comfort of the residents and also raise the value of the building itself. But all these things cost a lot of money. I was in full agreement and took it upon myself to start collecting the money needed for such a renovation.
So tell your husband that. See what he says. Tell him your attempt to extort money from me and the other bottom dwellers was on the orders of the owner.
I don't need you telling me what to do. I'll tell my husband exactly that. He'll unleash hell on you and your family when I tell him how you've spread fake news and spurious accusations about me. This is an open and shut case of defamation of character. I won't stand for it. I'll see that you face the full consequences of your deceitful actions.
Fine, hurry up and call him already. Let me know what he says.
I'm calling him right now. Just you wait. You won't get away with this. You'll be sorry. Mark my words. I've been informed that your husband is the owner of this building.
Oh, so that's what your husband told you? It must have been quite a surprise. How are you handling it? Well, you're correct. My husband does own this building. From the bottom floors to the top, with a range of residents.
That can't be right. I heard the owner had emigrated and left the country, and the housing company was handling everything.
Originally, that was the plan. We were planning to stay where we were, but circumstances changed. And we ended up back in the USA. It's good to be back and feel that neighborly love.
Don't mock me.
You've just admitted that you believed the owner was living abroad and used his name without permission to make some money. I have evidence of that in this WhatsApp conversation. Not as clever as you thought, are you? You really are something else. It's no wonder your husband is furious. He won't be able to show his face in the building.
This can't be happening, you.
What did your husband say? Did he support you? Did he unleash his army of lawyers? Should I be concerned?
He won't listen to anything I say. He just wants me out. He'll send my belongings once I have a new address. He won't even talk to me. Everything is being handled through his lawyers. What am I supposed to do? I have nowhere to go.
If that's what he wants, then you should do it. Pack up and leave. What did you mention about his lawyers? Something about causing chaos? I wouldn't want to face that. I'd make myself scarce. And Helen? I inquired about you a bit. A friend of a friend lives in the building you used to reside in. He mentioned that you caused quite a disturbance for the residents there too. If I were your husband, I'd kick you out too. He's relatively well known, especially in this city. And it sounds like he's run out of patience with you stirring the pot wherever you go.
Do you think I'd have any chance in court against him?
How would I know? Does he have a history of domestic violence or something? But I'll tell you this for free. No one will support a woman who extorts money from other residents to spend on gambling and toy boys. That alone could land you in prison.
How do you know about that?
So it's true? Well, that was an easy admission. I was just throwing out wild theories to see what would catch your attention. That was surprisingly simple. You know me and my vivid imagination. But this time I was bang on the money. Geez, Helen, I figured you for an absolute monster of a woman. But I didn't think I would be right. You really are a piece of human garbage.
So you were trying to set me up to get a confession. You conniving woman.
I'd rather be cunning than a monster. I had nothing to lose. I was wondering why the wife of a wealthy business executive would need to extort money from people. I considered a few scenarios, even some where you were the victim. And part of me wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt. But no, you're just a self-absorbed snob who thinks she can do and say whatever she wants and treat others as if they're beneath her.
But
There's no helping you. You're in trouble. He'll take you to the cleaners. Woman to woman, and I shouldn't say this. But if I were you, I'd take what I could and make a fresh start somewhere.
I can't take anything. I can't even access the condo. The locks are changed, and the windows are barred. This is all your fault. If you'd just kept quiet, none of this would have happened.
Me? How can this be my fault?
I didn't know your husband was the owner, did I? If I'd known, I would have left you alone, and you'd have been none the wiser.
What's the point? You would have been discovered eventually. Someone would have complained to my husband. You can't invent a fake fee and expect people to pay it without raising suspicion. And you better make sure to pay everyone back when you apologize.
This is all you're doing. I haven't done anything wrong. You twisted it to make me look like the bad guy.
Stop with the poor me act. You're certainly not the victim here, and you know it. If you can't see that, you need more than a lawyer. I'd recommend pills and a straitjacket.
You just stay where you are. I'm heading to your place right now to teach you a lesson.
Cut it out, Helen. You're going to physically threaten a pregnant woman? I won't open the door, no matter what happens. In fact, I don't feel safe with such an unhinged woman wandering around the building. I'm calling the police.
You just wait right there, you piece of trash.
Helen, police are on their way. Surrender and return upstairs to await your husband. The door damage you've caused will incur substantial repair costs. You're compounding willful damage with extortion and other impending consequences.
Keep your harsh words to yourself, you're responsible for this mess. Step outside and confront me.
Helen, the police just arrived downstairs. They'll be here on the 3rd floor soon. Maybe it's time you made a quick exit.
I'll ensure you face the consequences. Remember, I'll be back.
Fine, just leave. By the way, criminals aren't allowed to use the elevator. Following that, Helen was arrested and taken into custody by the police. Despite managing to avoid a prison sentence, she received a suspended sentence and was required to pay substantial legal fees. Additionally, she had to make regular payments to the building residents from whom she had coerced money. Naturally, her husband divorced her, and she lost custody of her children. She forfeited all her belongings and every last friend and family member who had supported her through her previous troubles. Apparently, there is a limit even for family. concerned about her potential to harm herself and others. Her parents decided to bring her back to their countryside home. Reportedly, she is now leading a sedated but non-threatening life in the rural area and seeing a psychiatrist several times a week. As soon as she vacated the building, it returned to its previous state. The maintenance fees were refunded, and everyone regained access to the elevator. The primary source of discord reverted to being the elderly Mr. Wilson in room 205, who could often be found in the lobby, lecturing anyone willing to listen about the perils of modern society.